If you rewind the clock about 7 years or so, I was in a place of really rampant, unresolved sin. I was involved in the church. I led small groups. I prayed on stage, all kinds of things like that. All the while just really not dealing with sin in my life. And for me in particular, it was all kinds of different sexual sin temptations, primarily through some apps. And for a long time, I mean years of going back and forth, being really hypocritical, and looking the part while I was at church. And then when I was at home by myself, doing what I wanted to do, which was, again, hypocritical and just unfaithful. I would try to manage it at times. So my sin, I never really wanted to kill it. I just wanted to keep it under control. So I tried all kinds of things. I would delete the apps for a time only to re-download them later. I would convince myself why I really needed to keep that app instead of deleting the account and getting rid of it, right? I needed to keep up with people, and so it was sin management. It wasn't putting it to death. It was, I can control this. I like some of what it offers. And it was really damaging to my own soul. It was really damaging to my now wife. The way the Lord began to change that in me were several different ways. There's a few key components, one of them being relationships and accountability. So talking to men, and then my wife, she was probably the biggest, about what was going on, about what I was struggling with. There was a hard few months, a lot of changing going on in me and in her, rebuilding trust again, but really seeing that God's love for me, that Romans 5:8, that was demonstrated through the cross. God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Knowing that, so that it's the love of God that motivates me to change and to be different. That was a big thing for me. And then also seeing the riches of the treasure and pleasure in God himself, so that these pleasures that the sin and flesh offer, seeing really the futility of that and how those are not only fleeting but dangerous, and then contrasting that with growing in my desire for Christ and seeing that he can fill me with a joy, with a satisfaction that far outweighs anything else that the world, my flesh, has to offer. I think I've flourished. I think my marriage has flourished since then. Talking about this with my wife, we can marvel at what God's done in our hearts. That those same things I struggled with are not a struggle today. That being said, sometimes my flesh talks to me this way: well, Jesse, you're mature enough now that you can re-download those apps and you can be fine. You're not going to struggle anymore. And I have to remind myself in the self-counsel, that's exactly what my flesh would say. So I still don't have those things today. Those particular apps that were just avenues of sin for me, I still don't have them, and I won't have them. It's dangerous, and so I want to, as the scripture would say, make no provision for the flesh. And so I would, encourage everyone who may be watching this, if you feel any conviction at all, whether it's specific to what I've been talking about or something else, know that the love of God, as displayed on the cross, can motivate you to change. It is the power that can change you, and it's the power to not only, again, free you from that condemnation, but to free you from the reigning, ruling power of sin, that you really can be different. God can take something that is broken, that's hypocritical, that's sinful, arrogant, prideful, lustful, and he can make something new. And that is our hope. It's in God. It can't be in ourselves. So don't manage sin. Cut it off.